less attention other parts of the world pay to Africa, the better for Africa.
Hi, I'm Ian Brimmer, and welcome to the GZERO World Podcast. I'm host of the weekly show GZERO World on Facebook Watch. In this podcast, we share extended versions of the big interviews from that show. This week, I sit down with Paul Kagame, the current president of Rwanda. As commander of the Rwandan Patriotic Front, he helped end the genocide in 1994. And as president, he's turned Rwanda into one of Africa's biggest economic success stories. Today, I'll ask him about his country's economic transformation, the political upheaval currently engulfing some other parts of the continent, and a certain vulgar remark made by another president not too long ago. Let's get to it.
The GZERO World is brought to you by our founding sponsor, First Republic. First Republic, a private bank and wealth management company, places clients' needs first by providing responsive, relevant, and customized solutions. Visit firstrepublic.com to learn more.
I'm here in Munich with President Paul Kagame of Rwanda, also head of the African Union. Delighted to see you here, sir.
Pleasure. Thank you, Ian.
I want to start just with the state of Africa because a lot's going on right now. We've had a surprise transition in Zimbabwe. We've had maybe a little less of a surprise transition in South Africa. We've had another surprise transition in Ethiopia. Do you see some common thread going through all of these changes?
Well, there are more changes even than that.
Is it getting harder for a leader if he's running his economy into the ground now in Africa than it was 5-10 years ago?
Oh, yes. If you run the economy into the ground, maybe it really takes you down with it. There's no doubt, because Africa is more and more integrated in the rest of the world. This connectedness really informs people and it drives people to do things they want to do, and it raises even the level of aspiration. And there's always going to be one way or the other where that correction is made so that the demands and aspirations of these people are met.
Now that certainly helps to explain Zimbabwe in a big way. It certainly helps to explain South Africa. Ethiopia, of course, has been talked about as one of the economic miracles in Africa.
It still remains, Ethiopia still remains a good performer in terms of the kinds of developments that have taken place and the growth of the economy, and doing really a lot of good things for their people, there's no doubt. But at the same time, they may raise other questions from within, and saying, okay, this is fine, we are doing this, but maybe there are political issues here we have to address. The fact that, for example, the Prime Minister resigned, I think that's a very healthy thing. That means he didn't stay and say, no, let's fight it out, and the winner in the end takes all or something. He said, no, okay, if my resignation, and having been there and associated with everything that was going on, is going to open up for more integration of different actors that act in different interests for the people of Ethiopia, if that's what it means, I'm giving in for that. I think that's a good thing.
So you know what I have to ask, of course, in that regard, which is that, you have now been president with one of the most exceptional economic stories in all of Africa, but also one that's been criticized for being too politically closed. Do you take any personal lessons from what's happening in Ethiopia right now? Does it change the way you think at all?
I think always you are going to look at any situation anywhere in the world and want to relate it with whatever is happening, even with you in your own country. what makes my country different, as of now at least, is that so far, so good with what the country is doing. And the measure is simply on the expressions of the same people. The difference with what has happened in my country and with any other case you may refer to is that when it came to 2017, I actually wanted to go.
To end your term, that's it.
The change that happened in the Constitution was entirely nothing to do with me. Well, it had to do with me in terms that it affected me in terms of whether I leave or stay, but my choice was to leave.
But you're legitimately very popular in Rwanda right now. Right now, not just in 17, right now, very clear. Why take tough measures against the media in your country when there's already so much support for you?
You know, Rwanda is the most connected country actually presently in Africa, right? Okay. The level of, people have their mobile phones, they are connected. If you look at the things they say on their platforms, there is no censoring, there is no blocking of anything. So when they talk about the media, I don't know which media people are talking about.
Another measure of success for a leader is what comes after. And I wonder how you're thinking about the next generation, grooming a set of leaders who will be able to take the country forward, especially if you were ready to step down a couple of years ago. What were you thinking about who's next, and is the country ready post?
Actually, I didn't even have to think so hard about who is next in terms of making it particular.
Not one person. I mean,
this is what I'm
class.
saying.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was comfortable that from the pool of people we have, actually we would find one. That is from my position. That was my viewpoint. And for the simple reason, for the last 24 years, we have been there. I've been there in the last 24 years in different capacities. But we have actually educated, trained our people. We have had others who were stateless and were outside of the country who have come back. The amount of investments we have made to develop people and to develop skills and these different capacities that would even be required, and the level of their participation even in the politics of our country, is such that I'm comfortable that come the day when people decide that not only I don't even have to wait for that, and what we have gone through has been an issue of timing, because it's like people said, no, give us more time. It wasn't like stay there forever. That's the way I understood it, and I think that's the way it is.
You met with my president just a few weeks ago, President Trump. Controversial on Africa. It was right after he made his comment about whole countries. Did you ask him about that?
In a way that is more civil than people would have expected. We naturally had to talk about that. But also with the background that it is as if no one is sure what was even said. Because people, including himself, people say no, it was either misrepresented or actually they didn't hear it, others heard it. And I mean, I didn't find it correct that I would dwell on such. And as you said, Trump being the president of the United States, I'm more interested in how Africa and United States can come together.
Did you come away with anything specific?
Yes, because in fact, after that, the president wrote a letter to the African Union expressing how he wants to work with Africa and African leaders, and even mentioned my meeting with him in Davos, which message for me was important enough that he was reaching out and saying, I mean to work well with Africa, and I'm serious about it. And I thought, for me, that is the most important thing.
And you said at the beginning of the interview that Africa is doing a lot more for itself, and that's a positive thing. Absolutely. But in part, that's also so necessary because there's been so little from everyone else.
The less attention other parts of the world pay to Africa, the better for Africa. Because they have been paying wrong attention. They've been paying attention to Africa as just a basket case, which is not correct. We will therefore, on that basis, work with different countries or parts of the world more as partners. I think this is what we all intended to see, more as partners. If it is China, we work with China. China works with the United States. Europe works with China. Everybody works with everybody. Every day we are asked these questions. So, what is China doing in Africa? What do you think? As if there's something sinister going on. If there is, it's not China entirely to blame. I think even we Africans should take the blame, because why would you allow somebody to come and relate to you in an exploitative manner or doing wrong things and then taking more than they are bringing to you? I think it's not their mainly. It's not themselves to blame alone. It's we ourselves should take responsibility for that. I think that is what is at the heart of the matter and the thinking we have in Africa to look at how we relate with people in the rest of the world.
President Kagame, thank you very much. Great to see you again.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure.
The GZERO World is brought to you by our founding sponsor, First Republic. First Republic, a private bank and wealth management company, places clients' needs first by providing responsive, relevant, and customized solutions. Visit firstrepublic.com to learn more.
You're listening to the GZERO World with Ian Bremmer podcast, your weekly geopolitical deep dive into the world's biggest news stories, featuring in-depth conversations with global leaders and newsmakers. To get more of GZERO's insights on global politics every morning, sign up for our free newsletter, GZERO Daily, at gzeromedia.com.